Hey there, my friends. This is David. And today I wanted to give you a message about the importance of following your heart. Um, a lot of times I think people get caught up in their own ways. And some of their ways are quite good. Some of their ways, they work quite well. And some of their ways, they don't work good. And they could use some major improving. And today's video is not so much about whether you're right, whether you're wrong, whether you're on the right path or the wrong path, or where you're at yet in the story, headed on your journey to the promised land. It's like you got a compass in your hand, and you're supposed to follow the needle at the end of the compass. And as you follow the needle at the end of the compass, you notice something. You notice that it's not quite pointing in the right direction towards the promised land unless you align the needle with your heart, with what's inside. It's very important when you're building your business, when you're creating value in the marketplace, when you're positioning yourself as an expert, when you're telling your story. It's very important to follow after the promptings of your own heart, to follow after what's inside. Because let me give you a reality here. The outside is a reflection of what's inside. And if your outside is not as you desire, the problem that's creating that is actually inside your heart, because outside is a reflection of what goes on inside. And your heart actually has, I learned this from my brother Will. I remember we were talking about this a few years ago. We were talking about the enteric nervous system and how in your body, people think of the nervous system generally as flowing from the brain to the spine and then the nerves. And that's obviously the major part of your nervous system. However, there's actually another system that's the enteric nervous system, which is basically there's brain cells that exist outside of your brain and your spine and whatnot. There's brain cells. And you say, well, where are they? Well, the largest concentration of them in a human would be in your heart. And then you would have the gut. Okay, so there's actually a brain in your gut. So when you have a gut instinct, for example, right, the brain in your gut is, let's say that brain is making calculations and it's saying something's wrong. So your gut is telling you, say, run, or get to a new area, or there's something here that's not right. That's a gut instinct. However, the gut instinct is something. What about the heart instinct? You know, a lot of people, they're in their own way. And their own way could be, for example, maybe they like to do marketing. Maybe they like to do network marketing. Maybe they're a lawyer. Maybe they're just in their own way. And too many people through the course of life, they're kind of lost in a way where they're following down a path and they don't even know why they're doing it. They don't even know what their purpose is. Maybe they don't even care. And I'll tell you something, you are going to be blessed when you find and you align with your purpose. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you, brother. You're going to be blessed when you find and you align with your purpose. You're going to be blessed when you find and when you align with your purpose. Okay? Sometimes in life, there's a purpose that presents itself. And sometimes that purpose is not the popular thing to do. But your purpose is not about a popularity contest. Your purpose maybe isn't even what your spouse thinks. It's something that is deeply rooted inside your heart, that has its own mind, where you feel like there's something that you're called to do. Now, sometimes that purpose is popular, and sometimes it's not. The work of a prophet, for example, is not popular in the beginning. It's popular in the end. The work that I started when I was little after a teenager, when I had gotten from my Mormon mission, in 2002, I started a company called Amway. I'll tell you, when I started that thing, when I started network marketing, my decision was not very popular with the people that I knew. And that's, who I approached, and I didn't really know how to sell them because I'd never really paid attention to people, so I didn't really have a strong sphere of influence. That decision, it wasn't very popular. But I had a gut instinct about it, and I had a heart instinct about it. And my mind followed my gut and my heart. And also the gut and the heart follow the mind. Both are true. And then people started to pay attention when I, was making a few $1,000s a month up in Alaska. But they didn't really pay attention until 7 years later, after I'd gone through a real hard time. And then all of a sudden, one day, I had a breakthrough that changed everything in my life. When was that? That was in 2009. All of a sudden, I'm making more money every month than I used to make in a year, hand over fist. And all of a sudden, right, all that work and all that thinking and all that vision and all that consistency and all that speaking and speaking and speaking and speaking the future into existence over a period of 7 years where it wasn't easy. All of a sudden, right, it all came together. It all came together. All of a sudden, it all came together. And then, what happened? When it came together, what happened was my whole life started to shine in front of people. And it seemed like I came out of nowhere. But when people saw me come out of nowhere, what they didn't see was they didn't see all the hard work that I'd put in all the years before to prepare for that moment, to prepare for that day when it was my time to win. All of a sudden, I came out of nowhere. This is the path of the warrior. I talked to my brother and he gave me this metaphor. This is about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. It was the hero's journey metaphor. And he's like, this describes you and describes where you're at. You're leaving the village. You're leaving the land of safety. And it took me a long time to figure out along that path how to get my message to shine. Now I figured it out, and I'm just not done with it. And I'm just starting. You know, I was talking to a guy earlier, and he gave me some good advice. You know, he said, you should just get involved in something and just promote, is what he said. And I was like, you know, look, here's the deal. I believe in what I'm doing. And I'm doing it because I believe in it, and because I believe that it's actually urgent for the message that I have to get out there into the world. I believe that it's actually urgent for my message to get out. I believe that it's been urgent for the last 2 years. I believe it's been urgent. Along that path, I suffered a great many things that were hard, that were trials of my faith. And I believe the majority of my trials are done. The trial of my faith. And I persisted through all that for a reason. I persisted through all of that because I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe in what I'm saying. I believe in what I'm both doing, and I also believe in what I'm saying. So because of these two things, I continue in that path. And attempts to take me off that path and get me to focus on something else are not actually going to be very effective. Because I've got blinders on. And the reason I've got the blinders on is because I gotta fend off the distractions that are coming my way. And there's lots of them. There's not just one. Well, there's lots of distractions that will come along the path as you're headed towards the promised land that you see inside. Even you see it when nobody else sees it. And what do? You must persist in the path of righteousness. You must persist in the path that is chosen for you. Your heart instinct. Regardless of what your wife says, ladies, regardless of what your husband says in certain things. Look, if you're called by God to serve a mission, right? I remember they're saying something like, if Jesus said, if someone won't love his children or his father or his mother or his wife or his husband more than me, he's not worthy of me. When you have a mission, you have got to fall in love with that mission, and you've got to do it no matter what. And this flows from your heart. This flows from your heart. This flows from inside. It flows from inside your heart. It comes from the inside, because when you come from the inside and you've got the radiance and the majesty of what you know, what you're supposed to do, what God's called you to do, what's inside your heart, not what's inside my heart, but what's inside your heart. And maybe they align. All of a sudden, you say, this is the way that I'm going to go, and I'm going to go there because this is what my heart says to do. So when you speak, what do? You tune into that feeling inside about your vision. You tune into a feeling in your heart. Like imagine a radiance coming from the inside of your heart, right? Right? Imagine this radiance coming from your higher power, from inside your heart, and this flows forth through the center of time, through rivers of living waters, giving life to everything around you as you're speaking new kinds of life into people about your vision, about your dream, about your mission. And it might take you some time to figure your vision out. But if you persist, you will succeed. If you persist, you will forget. And maybe you've got to change your strategy at times. This is what I've learned about myself, is that the strategy needs to be changed at times. However, the message itself, the simplicity of the message itself, the simplicity of the message itself is that if you stick to your path, regardless of the obstacles, regardless if you encounter sadness along the way, heartbreak comes before great victory. If your heart ever gets broken, you just need to say, there's something great for me on the other side. Because restitution and restoration and peace like rivers coming your way. As you march into a new future of peace and of love and of righteousness and of holiness and of majesty, with a great sex life, with great creations from your hand. We got to understand that if we want the world to change, we have to change. And that change starts with trusting your heart. This is where the change starts. It starts with trusting your heart. Trusting your mind. Trusting your heart. Trusting your spirit. Trusting yourself. Because when you trust what's inside your heart, that heart is what links on the inside. That's what links to the great sources of wisdom outside yourself. It's the heart that follows you. The heart inside, it draws you towards the promised land. And this comes from your heart. My promised land is quite wondrous. And it's inside my heart. And I got to take this message inside my heart and I got to put it out there inside the minds of others, because I have a dream where peace and restoration and honor and glory and prosperity are restored to humanity. And we're out from under the control of the dark lords of society. And power has been given back into the hands of the people for time and for all eternity. That's what I see. That's the future that I see. Therefore, because that future for me is great, I do got some blinders on. Sometimes that means I have a hard time listening to certain things, but also sometimes good advice comes my way and I ignore it, and I should probably go and say, I got that. But the reality is that sometimes going slow to go fast is the way. So what's my path? Well, right now I'm finishing my system. I'm about done with that. Then I'm going to go out and build a funnel, sell my books. And when I'm selling 3 to 6 books a day for, I don't really care about a lot, then what I do is I go slow. I'm going to work on the system. And I get the upsells cranking. And I get the community cranking. And I fill in the parts and the gaps with new parts. Okay? And then I take that message and I say, I went out and I'm making $100,000 a month from my own brand. And then I start building a team in my own thing. That's my path. But I'll make the money from selling products. Because this is the way that I'm doing, and I've got something that I believe in. Actually, this is the only real time I've had something that I believe in for quite a while. That I truly believe in. Because the message that I've got to bring people, that message is going to heal all of humanity. That message is going to heal all of humanity. It'll heal every problem. The message that I've got will heal every problem that exists inside of humanity that causes problems in society. 100% of all the problems will be solved by my solutions. That's it, period. Now, here's the thing. If I got to do these lives and there's one viewer on here, Nick, I appreciate you being here. If that's all I've got on these lives, then that's all I've got, because other people who aren't here, they're ignoring the message. That doesn't mean I'm not going to put my message out there. Whether people see it or don't see it, doesn't matter. Because this message is so important. It can heal the rivers. It can heal the oceans. It can heal the rainforests. It can heal the elderly. It can heal brain degenerative disorders. This message can heal autism and ADHD over a period of time. Which is really improper brain training. It's really just personalities. It takes a while to heal these tendencies out of the brain. 2 years, 3 years, something like that. This message can heal all of the diseases inside of society. 100% of them. This message can restore the nation of Israel to her former glory when David was her king. This message can bring peace and a level of prosperity to the nations of the earth that is unimaginable to any of you. So this comes from the heart. This comes from the heart. This comes from the heart. And if people ignore me in the beginning, they ignore me in the beginning, but they're not going to ignore me in the end. They're all going to be paying attention to it as my movement begins to grow and grow and grow like a stone rolling off a mountain without hands. That's it, period. End of story. Because I'm coming from my heart. Because I care about something. I care about what I'm doing now more than I cared about Empower Network. I care about Empower Network a lot. I care about what I'm doing now more than I've ever cared about any mission that I've had in my life. I love what I'm doing now like I love my wife. My point is, it is my mission. And it comes from my heart. What's your mission that comes from your heart? You go to thekingdomofeloheim.org. Get the book. There's some training and stuff that will be of great value to you. And here's the thing. I see a day when I show up, 600,000 people are going to show up because of this message, no matter where I go. 1 million people, 2 million people. That's it, period. It will happen. I see a day When I start a live video, that's the most important information that anybody has ever seen these videos, has ever seen in their entire life. And instead of only one viewer, and I'm glad you're here, because I'm speaking to you. 1 million people will be on my lives. They'll just show up, 1 million of them, every time I pop on YouTube. I see a day when the air is so clean again that when you're walking outside, it's like you're walking into a hidden river in the sands of time, in the middle of nowhere, where the foot of man has never set down. Only the foot of beasts and birds and the creeping things. And you're smelling, and it's like the flowers are singing with love and with peace and with blessing. And that's what it's going to be like in the cities. It'll be like that. Everywhere, it will be like that. Everywhere, it will be like that. I see a day when all of humanity is enlightened and shining with the radiance that comes out of their heart. I see a day when you and I are walking on a sea of glass and fire, looking into the eternity before us and the lessons behind us, as we're growing in our majesty, and we are, at that point, the gods. I see a day when we re-architect the systems of government to change the world the way it's supposed to be. I see a day of peace and liberty. The kingdom of Elohim.org. See, I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing. And it does not need to be popular in its early days to grow like a stone rolling off a mountain without hands. It's not a popularity contest. It's not what it is. It's a righteousness contest. It's a peace contest. It's a transformation contest. And if we get fewer numbers, and the fewer numbers are way more transformed, then we'll bring in more numbers and they'll be more transformed. And then we'll bring in more numbers and they'll be more transformed. And then we'll bring in more numbers and then they'll be more transformed. And then all of a sudden, all of society will start looking at us, and they'll be in awe and wonder from what we're doing together. That's it, period. Regardless of the past, regardless of what's gone on, regardless of the crap out there, they'll look at this and they'll say, this is something different. The nations of the earth will wonder at it. Love you. Sure to follow my blog. I've been blogging every day. I've got to work my system here. I was doing some memory training today. It took me like all day, and so I didn't really have a lot of time to do anything else, because I got to train my memory to, to pay attention and to listen and to learn lessons from everything and things like that. It's really important at this phase, because I got to go out there and build a movement. And if I do the things I did before where I don't remember people's names, then people they don't feel respected. So I remember their names and everything about them and details about them and all sorts of stuff. And I'm also working on memorizing the Torah. So I'm training my memory because this is important for my books, the knowledge. You know what I mean? The Torah is something interesting. Let me tell you. Let me teach you a little lesson about the Torah. Bring a little spiritual message in there. The Torah, like all prophecy, is, think about it like mathematical symbols that repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat in different areas with different relationships. If you start reading a chapter of the Torah every day, you'll start noticing how, like, what's in there and what you're reading is happening to you at the same time. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like that all the time. It's just that we don't notice it. That's actually what's going on. It's mathematical sequencing of information. It repeats and repeats and repeats because it was written by a braineuter, a brain computer. Actually, the Bible code says it was written by a computer. Look. It's time to do something. It's time to stand up for your freedom. It's time to speak your message. It's time to build your city. It's time to build your state. It's time to build your nation. It's time to build your kingdom. It's time. The universe has been waiting long enough. The universe has been waiting long enough. Look. The reality is, you are worthy of incredible things. Aren't you? Don't you think you are? I'm done. I got to go work my system, okay? Appreciate you.